It began on a gray morning in the North Atlantic when a Norwegian fishing trawler detected something massive on sonar, something that shouldn't have been there. The shape was unmistakable, a steel cylinder, 100 meters long, rising slowly from the depths. At first, the crew thought it was a whale, maybe a geological formation. But then came the hollow metallic echo. Steel, a hull, a submarine. The North Atlantic is a graveyard of iron and bone, where hundreds of submarines vanished during the wars of the 20th century. But this one was different. Its surface was smooth, too intact, its emergence too deliberate, as if it hadn't sunk at all, but had simply been waiting. The fishermen watched, stunned, as a conning tower broke the waves, streaming rust and seaweed. The markings on the side were faint, but visible beneath the coral crust, Soviet Cyrillic letters, a red star, barely there. The Coast Guard was called, then NATO. Within hours, the area was cordoned off. When divers descended, they found the hatches sealed from the inside. No signs of external damage. It was as if the crew had chosen to stay below, and something had chosen to let them go only now. Archival records confirmed the impossible. The sub was the K-129, a Soviet ballistic missile submarine that disappeared in 1968 during the height of the Cold War. Officially, it was lost northeast of Hawaii, thousands of miles from where it now rested. The Americans had tried to raise it once under a classified CIA project called Azorian, but the operation failed, or so history claimed. Yet here it was, resurfaced half a century later in near-perfect condition. When the first inspection team opened the outer hatch, the air that escaped was stale but breathable. Inside, everything was preserved. Bunks still made, dials frozen mid-spin, coffee cups resting where hands had once set them down. And then came the strangest discovery: footprints in the layer of gray silt covering the floor, fresh ones. The deeper they went, the colder it became, not just physically, but unnaturally still. The electrical systems flickered when powered. The black box, impossibly, still worked. The logs showed the last entry dated March 8, 1968, then a jump, one that made no sense. The next entry was marked October 17, 2018. 50 years later, the handwriting was identical. Intelligence agencies scrambled. The Russians denied ownership. The Americans sealed the site, declaring it environmentally hazardous. But the footage, smuggled out by one diver, showed something the public was never supposed to see. A corridor lined with frost, walls vibrating faintly as if from a pulse, and a door that had been welded shut from the inside, etched with dozens of fingernail scratches. The diver who recorded it never spoke again. 2 weeks later, his body was found in his apartment, lungs filled with salt water. The recovered logbook was analyzed by linguists, cryptologists, even psychologists. It told a fragmented story, an encounter deep beneath the ocean with something no sonar could trace. The entries became increasingly incoherent. References to the signal, the whispering current, the call below. One line repeated near the end: "We are not alone down here, and it doesn't want us to leave." In 1974, during Project Azorian, the CIA had indeed recovered part of the K-129 wreck, but the internal reports, declassified decades later, mention strange readings from the salvage vessel's instruments, bursts of electromagnetic energy, sudden temperature drops, and a persistent sound like distant tapping, long after the wreck had been hoisted aboard. Engineers called it the knock. When the submarine resurfaced in 2018, the same frequency returned, recorded by buoys across the North Atlantic. A pulse, rhythmic, deliberate. It came every 7 hours, like clockwork. Oceanographers traced it to a single coordinate, the exact resting place of the K-129. The investigation was abruptly terminated. The wreck was towed under military escort to an undisclosed location, rumored to be near Murmansk. Every official involved signed lifelong NDAs. But the fishermen who first saw it resurface claimed that when the sub was finally hauled away, the sea remained oddly restless for days. The water around the site glowed faintly green at night. 1 year later, a distress signal was received from a Russian research vessel assigned to study the wreck. The message was only 3 words long: "They're still alive." By the time rescue teams arrived, the ship was gone. No debris, no oil slick, nothing. Just the same rhythmic pulse echoing across the sonar screens, slowly fading into silence. Some say it was a hoax, a Cold War ghost story reborn for the internet age. Others, those who heard the classified audio, insist the voices captured on that final transmission weren't human at all. And somewhere beneath the black water of the Arctic, where light has never touched, a single Soviet submarine drifts against the current, its engines dead, its radio silent, yet somehow still moving.